Yo, check this out. Today we're watching 5 cold cases that were solved with insane twists. We're about to find out about unsolved cases that were solved with crazy twists. Try not to get educated. Let's go.
The first case
Alright, here we go. The first case
is the case of Annette Schnee and Bobby.
Her last name is Schnee. Alright, rest in peace. I'm sorry. I love you. Schnee is an awesome name.
Joe Oberholzer.
Oberholzer.
In 1982, in Breckenridge, Colorado, 2 lifeless bodies of 2 different women were discovered.
Oh my god.
The crime scenes were miles from one another, and the bodies were found 6 months apart.
1982?
And yet, police believed that both women were killed on the same night, by the same man. The only thing connecting them? Orange socks. On January 6, 1982,
orange socks? What the hell does orange
Bobby
socks
Joe
have to do with anything?
Oberholzer, 29 years old, left home at 7:15 a.m.
Okay. Look
Her
at that
day
cute
had
doggy.
begun as usual, and she hitchhiked to work.
Hitchhike to work?
Jeff Oberholzer was Bobby's husband. He ran an appliance repair business, and she worked as a receptionist.
Bro, sick haircut. Wait, Loki, I think he's gonna talk about how this guy maybe is responsible. Why else would he bring up this random dude?
Years at the time of Bobby's death, and they lived in Alma, 14 miles away from where her body was eventually found.
Okay.
At 6:20 p.m., Jeff got a call from Bobby saying she was having drinks with friends after work.
Okay.
He asked her if she wanted him to pick her up, but she told him that she would get a ride home. Jeff made dinner and waited for Bobby to come home.
Man, that's so sad,
At some point,
bruh.
he fell asleep.
Oh, man.
He woke up around midnight and discovered that his wife hadn't returned.
Dude, that's crazy. His wife was like, I'm gonna go out for drinks with my friends, and then she just never came back. Like, he was like sitting on his couch, like waiting for her, and he was like, I'll just go to sleep. And then he woke up and he was like, wait, where is she? And she wasn't there. And turns out she freaking died, bro. Are you kidding me?
Jeff drove into Breckenridge to look for Bobby, and her friends told him she left the bar around 7:30 p.m.
Whoa.
They assumed she'd gotten a ride home. When Jeff reported to police that Bobby was missing, they told him it was too early to file a report.
Bruh.
Finally, he drove back home to wait for his wife.
Man.
The next morning, a farmer who lived 30 miles outside Breckenridge found Bobby's driver's license on his property.
What?
When Jeff and 2 friends were on their way to pick it up, they made a disturbing discovery. Something blue in a snow-covered field. It was Bobby's backpack,
Wait,
the one she
what?
always had with her. Next to the backpack was one of Bobby's gloves, spattered with blood and several bloody tissues.
Oh, nah, dude. Imagine being her husband. Like, oh my god, she's missing. Like, she's probably okay. And then you find that and her stuff is covered in blood, bro. Oh my god.
Jeff's friends helped him organize a search. 2 hours later, they found Bobby's lifeless body, more than 15 miles from where her backpack was discovered.
Well, how would they think to dig in this damn snow to find her? That's actually crazy. It only took 2 hours for them to find her. Pretty impressive, actually.
She'd been shot twice.
Shot? Oh
Her
my
house keys were
god.
found at the scene.
Wow.
At the crime scene, police found 3 intriguing clues. The only footprints near the body were from Bobby. A plastic cord was tied around one of her wrists, and a single orange sock was found nearby.
What the hell?
The same day Bobby Joe's body was found, another woman, Annette Schnee, 21 years old, was reported missing.
Schnee.
Annette was a cocktail waitress in Frisco, Colorado,
She was
and
21.
like Bobby, often hitchhiked to and from work.
Was that normal for people to hitchhike back in the day? Dude, no wonder it's not normal anymore. People freaking die doing that stuff.
Because of the similarities, both cases were immediately connected by the police. Investigators questioned Jeff about Annette. At first, he denied knowing her. However, after seeing her picture on the news, he recalled meeting her once.
What?
Jeff claimed he had once picked up Annette when she was hitchhiking, and he had given her his business card, but he had never seen or heard from her since that day. He also denied any involvement in her disappearance or Bobby's death.
Okay.
On July 3rd, 1982, 6 months after her disappearance and 13 miles away from where Bobby Joe's body had been found, Annette's body was discovered. Police were shocked with the
That's the
discovery
other
that
sock,
she was
bro.
wearing the match for the orange sock.
She was wearing it?
Jeff's
Wait.
business card was found inside her wallet. The
Oh.
prime suspect immediately became Jeff Oberholzer.
Dude, I knew it. I said in the
Authorities tried to
beginning,
put
bro.
together a scenario for what might have happened on the night of January 6th. Annette Schnee was last seen in Breckenridge at around 4 p.m.
Okay, let's try to figure it out.
in deep conversation with an unidentified dark-haired woman. Police believe that around 5 p.m, Annette left to hitchhike home.
Okay.
The suspect picked her up and drove 20 miles south of Breckenridge. He took her down a small dead-end road where he assaulted her in his vehicle.
Ugh.
While she was getting dressed, she forgot to put on her other orange sock and attempted to escape when she was shot in the back while running
Oh my
away.
god, dude.
Police
People are
believe
crazy,
the suspect
bruh.
then drove back to Breckenridge and found his second victim, Bobby Joe Oberholzer.
You couldn't just be okay with one.
Drove Bobby 10 miles south of Breckenridge to a scenic overlook where he attempted to assault her. Bobby
Dude.
managed to escape from the vehicle where the orange sock then fell out.
That's crazy.
The suspect then chased her down the road and shot her twice as she turned away. Police felt the fact that Jeff Oberholzer knew both victims was more than just a coincidence. 2 months after his
That's
wife's
her
death,
wedding photo,
Jeff
bro.
took a polygraph test and passed. From day one, Jeff insisted that he had an alibi. He said that at the time of the deaths, he was at home visiting a friend.
I think it was Jeff,
For
bro.
nearly 9 years, no one could find this man. Then in December 1990, he finally surfaced and was
Dude, that's a
questioned about
cool-ass
that night.
photo.
Investigators interviewed the man, who claimed that he had been in Jeff's house. However,
Well,
his time and Jeff's time of the visit didn't
Oh,
match
his
up.
alibi. Bro, they said that they interviewed him 9 years later and the guy had like the wrong time or something. Bro, it was 9 years ago. Of course he freaking forgot.
Jeff Oberholzer had always maintained his innocence and claimed that the suspect had to be someone that Bobby knew. She wouldn't have left with a stranger,
Okay.
especially when he offered to pick Bobby up.
True.
For years, the blood found on Bobby's gloves and the tissues with her backpack were believed to be hers. However, in the early 1990s, DNA testing determined
Wait.
that it came from a male. The testing also determined that the blood wasn't Jeff's. As a result of this
it
and
wasn't
other
Jeff.
evidences, including
Jeff.
several alibi witnesses, Jeff was eventually cleared as a suspect in the case.
Okay, so who was it?
Police looked into several other suspects as well. One was cab driver Thomas Edward Luther, who in
He did it.
February 1982
He
picked
did
up
it.
a hitchhiker in Breckenridge, then beat and insulted her.
Yup, he did it.
While in jail, he allegedly bragged about being responsible for the
Yup,
deaths.
it was him.
According to his girlfriend, he didn't come home on the fateful night.
Mm-hmm.
He also lied to investigators and said he was at work at the
Yup,
time.
lock him up.
The other suspect, Tracy Petroselli, killed his fiancée in 1981 and went on a multi-state crime spree.
God
During this
damn!
time, he stayed at Annette's workplace, the Holiday Inn in Frisco.
It was also him.
However, neither suspect's DNA matched the evidence from the crime scene.
Oh.
On February 24th,
Okay, it was him.
2021,
Yep.
a 70-year-old man named Alan Lee Phillips was arrested and charged with the deaths. He was also charged with kidnapping and assaulting with a deadly weapon. He's currently being held without bail. Genetic genealogy was used to link the DNA found at the crime scene to Phillips.
So it was just a random guy?
Investigators also suspect that he may be involved in other crimes throughout Colorado.
Probably. Did you see him?
Sadly, Bobby's brother, Kelly, and father, Thomas, have passed away before finding out who was responsible for taking her.
Alright, here's number 2.
Next on the list is the case of Gail Barris.
Gail
On October
Barris.
9th, 1988, Gail Barris was spotted leaving a coffee shop in the early
1988.
hours of the morning, accompanied by a man. This was the last time Barris was ever seen alive.
Dude.
She was a 30-year-old single mother of 3 from Michigan.
Bruh.
Life
she
was
had 3
hard,
kids?
and she worked at 2 different local bars to be able to survive and
Man,
take
she was
care
just
of her 3
working.
children.
Grinding.
In the early hours of October 9th, 1988, between 3 and 4 a.m.,
Whoa,
Barris
that's
was
a
spotted
creepy
leaving
picture.
Speed's coffee shop in Battle Creek, Michigan.
Okay.
She was accompanied by a
Speeds?
dark-haired man, and that was the last time anyone saw her alive. On October 25th, hunters from Emmett, a nearby town, made a
Hunters?
horrifying discovery.
Dude, I've never been hunting, but imagine you go hunting and you see a freaking dead body, bro. Oh my god, that's crazy.
He found a lifeless body of a woman laying on River Road. The authorities quickly identified the body to be that of Gail Barris, and an extensive investigation followed. Witnesses were identified and interviewed, and evidence was collected from the crime scene. On October 22nd, just a few days before Barris's body was discovered and almost 2 weeks after her disappearance, a 24-year-old man named Roger Plato was approached by authorities.
Play-Doh?
Plato's car matched the description from a victim of a different abduction and assault case.
Okay.
At 4:30 p.m, authorities attempted to detain him at gunpoint while he was walking to his car at a parking lot in Bellevue.
Oh my god.
Plato became
it wasn't
aggressive, refused to cooperate, and started fighting back. He was shot when he tried to wrestle the gun from a detective, and as a result, died from the injuries. He was never
you're
interviewed.
Stupid.
Authorities performed an autopsy, and a blood sample was taken before the body was cremated, which was stored at a private lab at the time.
And it was him.
Investigators of Barris's case turned their attention to Plato's friend and former roommate,
Was it
Richard
not
Compton.
him?
Compton had a vast
Who
criminal
the
career,
hell is
but
this
when
guy?
approached by investigators, he backed off and denied knowing anything. With no
Okay.
further leads or developments, Barris's case eventually went cold.
Man.
In 2018, Battle Creek cold case detective Scott Marshall reopened the case.
Let's go,
One
Scott.
of his first discoveries was that Compton's DNA had never been tested, so made Compton his #1 suspect.
They never tested his DNA?
After some investigation, Detective Marshall discovered that Compton had
Wait, no, I'm
died in
thinking of Play-Doh.
2009, and his body was buried in the County International Cemetery in
Don't
Austin,
tell me
Texas.
they dug him up.
Compton was just 59 years old when he died.
Damn.
Detective Marshall got a search warrant and traveled to Texas to exhume Compton's body. After
they
examination,
assumed his body?
It
What
was
does that mean?
discovered that Compton's DNA samples didn't match that found in Barris's body,
So they
but
dug him
matched
up for nothing?
previously unidentified hairs connected to the crime scene. In
Oh.
November 2020, a break in the case emerged, almost by luck.
Dude, is that the guy from Stranger
Sergeant
Things?
Chris Bassick of the Calhoun County Sheriff's Department was taking an inventory of evidence at the department and found a vial containing the blood sample taken from Plato. On January 30th, 2021, it was announced that a state police lab connected the blood to DNA found on Gail Barris's
I
body,
knew it.
confirming Plato as responsible for assaulting
Yup.
her.
Okay, number 3, let's go. They're supposed to
We
get
now come to
creepier
the
and
case of
creepier.
Stephanie Summers. On August 30th, 1980,
1980,
Stephanie
these are all
Summers
so
was
old.
supposed to spend the day with a nephew.
So for a lot of these, they went cold, like nobody could solve them. But then with the new technology and stuff, they could test DNA and all that. They solved a lot of these, and it turns out that they were like some crazy twist to some of them, bro. That's crazy.
Going to celebrate his birthday and spend a wonderful day together. However, she never appeared.
Oh,
Police
man.
eventually found her lifeless body inside her apartment.
What?
Summers was a 36-year-old woman who lived in Silver Lake, Los Angeles, California. She'd only recently moved there from Newhall, Santa Clarita, and she couldn't be more excited.
Okay.
On that fatal day
Who the hell
of
is
August
that?
30th, she was at her apartment getting ready to spend the day with her 11-year-old nephew, Kelly Roberts, from Santa Clarita Valley. She was planning to pick him up and take him to Six Flags Magic Mountain as a late birthday present. Kelly got dressed
been
up
there.
especially for the occasion. However, his aunt never turned up. Concerned, her
dude.
family contacted the authorities, who went to check her apartment. That's when they made the grisly discovery. Stephanie's lifeless body was laying inside her apartment.
God, that's awful.
Forensic
bro. What
evidence was
happened?
collected at the crime
A big
scene,
ass camera.
and an extensive investigation began. Several people were interviewed. However, the leads went nowhere, and the case went cold. The case remained unsolved for more than 3 decades until Los Angeles detectives received a fresh lead in 2014.
Ooh, what was it?
It implicated a
Who
man
the
named
hell?
Harold Anthony
He
Parkinson,
did it.
who lived a mile away from the victim, and he could be a main suspect in the case.
Yep.
On June 19th, 2014, a DNA sample collected from Parkinson was consistent with
Here
the
we
DNA
go,
profile
see?
taken from Summers' body, and he
Yup.
was charged with taking her life.
Yep.
However, Parkinson was already in jail serving between 15 years
my
to
God.
life at the
He
Chuckawalla
was
Valley State
already
Prison in Blythe
in
for
prison.
another unrelated attack. This other attack happened in Los Angeles on April 8th, 1981, when he shot a man named Derek Eugene Perry. Perry
Derek?
succumbed to the injuries and died. Parkinson
peace,
was
Derek.
arrested and began serving time for that sentence on March.
While he was in prison for murder, they found out he murdered somebody else, bro. Never let him out, bro. Come on. Okay, number 4. Let's see this crazy
Our
twist on
next
this
case is the case of Sylvia May Quayle.
one.
On August 4th,
Cool.
1981, William Quayle went to visit his daughter in Cherry Hills Village near Denver, Colorado.
Okay.
She lived just 150 feet from his home.
Wow.
What he discovered
Right
was
next
something
door.
no parent should ever have to witness.
Dude, no way. Don't tell me he's like gonna go visit his daughter next door and he walks in and she's freaking dead, bro. Oh my god.
According to her friends, 34-year-old Sylvia May Quayle was ambitious, vibrant, friendly, and lit up the room when she walked in.
Man.
She loved history and worked as a secretary at an architectural firm. An excellent cook, she also opened up her own
Excellent
business
cook.
specializing in
And
wedding
a business
cakes.
owner? Wedding cakes? Ooh.
Quayle had a lot of friends and was an avid artist.
Okay.
She
Okay,
loved to
okay. I
create-
don't really care. How did she
Just
die?
on August 4th, 1981, officers
Okay.
were dispatched to Sylvia's house after her father found her lifeless body and called 911.
Bro.
Sylvia Quayle had spoken to her sister on the phone the previous night, around 11 p.m., so investigators knew she'd been killed between the time she hung up the phone that night
Right.
and when her father got to the house 9
Right.
hours later.
Obviously.
Her father told the officers he'd arrived to find his daughter lying naked on the living room floor.
Oh my god, her own dad found her naked dead on the living room floor. Bro, are you kidding me?
Investigation revealed that she'd been shot,
Shot?
stabbed multiple
And
times,
stabbed?
strangled.
And
assaulted.
strangled? And
The autopsy confirmed the loss of blood was ultimately the cause of death.
loss of blood, bruh.
Investigators found
That's, like,
two
slow
important
and
clues at the
painful.
crime scene. The telephone line in the living room and outside the house had been cut, and the bathroom window screen had been removed and tossed into some tall weeds.
Huh. Someone like broke
About
into the bathroom.
140 more pieces of evidence were collected from the scene,
140
and
pieces of
over
evidence
time,
you still couldn't catch,
a
buddy?
variety of technological advances were used on the items as
okay.
investigators tried to solve the crime.
So it was cold for a
In
while.
1983, 2 years after her death,
2 years later.
forensic technicians, using an alternate light source, found DNA material not from Sylvia in the rug where her body was found laying.
Ooh, okay, they got him.
The same year brought hope for investigators and the Quayle family after notorious serial killer
Yup.
Otis Elwood Toole confessed to have taken Sylvia's life.
He confessed?
Many of Toole's
Wait, so-
confessions were later known to be false, along those of his companion,
He
Henry
lied
Lee Lucas.
about his confessions.
Lucas, who died in a Texas prison in 2001, claimed hundreds of victims.
Okay, so these two guys lied about how many people that they, took their lives, and the authorities were only able to actually confirm a few of them. So they were just like trying to be famous. They wanted to be cool or something from killing people. You're stupid. But the twist is, it wasn't this guy who claimed it was him.
93, the charges against Toole and Sylvia's death were dropped. At the time, DNA testing on evidence in the case had proven that Toole was not the source of the DNA found at the crime
So they
scene
proved it
12
wasn't
years
him.
earlier. In 1995, a section of the rug was cut
95,
out
like
and
10
submitted
years
to the
later?
Colorado Bureau of Investigation to be tested.
Okay.
5 years later, the
5
sample
more years
provided
later?
authorities with an unknown male DNA profile. However, no match was found and the case went cold. In January
didn't-
2020,
Okay.
Cherry Hills
2020. Okay, this is like 40 years after she died.
Village cold case detectives and investigators decided to use the recent technology of genetic genealogy in Sylvia's case. 4 months later, a name surfaced.
They found him.
David Dwayne Anderson.
He looks pretty normal.
At the time of Sylvia's death, Anderson, then 22 years old, lived a couple of miles away from her.
Okay.
Cold case detectives began investigating Anderson. One particular investigator, Robert Fuller, traveled to Cozad, where Anderson now lived, to secretly collect the suspect's DNA.
Secretly collect his DNA, bro. What did you do? Like shove your finger in his mouth and run away?
Fuller was able to recover 2 trash bags Anderson had tossed into a dumpster.
Oh, you're going through his trash?
Inside were 15 items that potentially held Anderson's genetic material. Included among the items was a vanilla Coke can.
Vanilla Coke?
On January
That's
29,
Russian.
2021, genetic material taken out of the vanilla Coke can matched the ones found in the body and crime scene.
Oh yeah!
When investigators looked
They
into
found
Anderson's past, they found a string of at least 8 home and business burglaries between 1981 and
Yep,
1986.
it was him.
In one of the home burglaries,
Yep.
he removed and tossed a window screen to gain entrance.
Mm-hmm.
Anderson, now 62 years old, was arrested on February 10th, 2021.
Lock him up!
The first photograph is of Anderson in 1980. If anyone recognizes this photograph of him from this time period and has information surrounding or involving this case, we ask that you please call the Cherry Hills Village Police Department tip line.
So they know who it was, but they can't find him.
9831.
Yo.
William and Mary Quayle didn't live to see their daughter's killer charged. William died in 1999,
Oh,
and his wife followed 10 years later.
look at this dude standing over here on the left. What the hell, bro? Relax. It's okay, man. Okay, so basically they knew the guy, but he like died or something before they found him. So they were asking people to call if they could give like more information on what actually happened to her. Anyways, rest in peace. Okay, number 5, the last one. Let's see. This one's supposed to have the craziest twist of all.
Is the case of Bonnie Baker.
Bonnie Baker. That's
On the
fun to
night
say.
of June 30th, 1998, Baker was celebrating her recent promotion with some friends. Her boyfriend at the time showed up
Just got
unexpectedly
promoted.
to the party.
Wait, okay. She was having a party for a promotion, and her boyfriend showed up. What's weird about that?
After a few tense moments, they both left, and that was the last time
Maybe it was like a work party, but that was the last time she was ever seen, bro? Are you kidding me?
she was ever seen alive.
Wow.
Bonnie Baker was a 47-year-old woman from Denver, Colorado, where she shared an apartment with
Why
a
is everyone
boyfriend,
from Denver, bro?
Crespin Nene Perez.
I think all of these have been from Denver. What the hell?
The
I'm
couple
never
had
going to
met
Denver.
at the Fort Restaurant in Morrison, where they both worked. Baker was the perfect employee, never calling in sick, and always showing up on time.
Perfect employee.
The
Always
same
on
couldn't
time,
be
never
said
sick.
about Perez, who had been fired a month earlier for missing work. Baker decided to celebrate her recent promotion with her friends at one of their places in Golden. They planned to
Golden.
spend the night partying. The night quickly turned for the worse after Baker's boyfriend unexpectedly showed up to the friend's place.
Okay.
Perez arrived
Guess
at the
it was
party,
just a work party.
and almost immediately started to make a scene. He was jealous seeing his girlfriend drinking and dancing with her friends in the living room.
Jealousy.
Several witnesses at the party later said that Perez looked as if he had taken illicit substances.
He
His
was
eyes
on
were red and
something.
glazed, and he was very aggressive. He also continuously eyed everyone off at the party, attempting to instigate a fight with anyone who stared back. Baker's last known words to a friend were, "It would be better if I just go now, or it will be worse."
She said to her friends, it'd be better if I just left now or it'll get worse. That means that he's done stuff before, like beat her or something, bro.
Early when the situation became heated. At around 8 p.m. that night, authorities received a phone call from an unidentified woman.
Whoa.
She reported that a man had taken a woman's life in an apartment on West Louisiana Avenue.
Yo.
She also claimed that the man was about to drive to Mexico in a red vehicle with Colorado license plates.
Off to Mexico.
And the woman's body
How
was
did
in
she
the trunk,
know?
which she was planning to dump somewhere along the way.
How did she know all this?
When tracing the call, police found that it was made from a payphone, so they rushed to the address given. In the apartment, there were no signs of a struggle, and no one was found.
What?
The next day, Perez's car was involved in a single vehicle collision near Globe, Arizona.
So he was running away with her body in the back and he got into a freaking car crash, bro? Oh my god. Okay.
But he fled the scene on foot.
He fled the scene on foot?
The car
Does
ended
that
up being
mean
impounded, and upon examination,
at the
blood was
impound
collected
lot?
from the trunk as evidence.
Wait.
The case was shelved, but was reinvestigated a
body,
year
it was just
later
blood in
due
the
to
trunk?
possible new evidence. On July 31st, 1999, 2 boys went horseback riding in a remote part of a Navajo reservation in New
Dope.
Mexico. They stumbled
Mexico.
across what appeared to be a human skull.
Ah, so he drove from Denver down and in New Mexico, dropped it off, and then he got in a crash in Arizona. Okay. They never said they caught him or anything. He fled on foot and he ran away and is like in Mexico now, I guess. He walked to Mexico?
Told
Damn.
authorities. After searching the area, investigators found several more skeletal remains.
Bruh.
Despite the find, the results of the autopsy and the reason for the death remained inconclusive. The
They
case
didn't know who
went
it
cold due
was.
to the lack of evidence and correlation between Baker, the missing person, and the found remains.
That's crazy.
In October of 2012, cold case detective Kenneth Klaus from Denver was assigned Baker's case and immediately called an FBI agent in New Mexico to discuss her disappearance.
Ah.
DNA samples from the remains found on the Navajo reservation were sent to Denver's crime lab for forensic testing.
Good. Nice.
They matched samples collected from Bonnie Baker.
They matched? Oh, it was her.
On April 4th, 2013, the unknown female caller
2013.
came forward admitting that she was the one who called 911 the night of Baker's disappearance.
Who was it? And how did she know?
She also claimed that she cleaned out the couple's apartment after their disappearance and before the authorities arrived, where broken plates and glass covered the floor and the kitchen table was overturned.
What?
The unidentified woman also gave a full description of the red vehicle, which was later determined to be a Geo Prism, as well as its license plate number. And according to the woman, Perez told her that night, "I know that you don't like Bonnie. Something bad happened to us. You'll never have to see Bonnie again because I'm going to make her disappear." This woman's relationship
What?
with the couple was not yet revealed by the authorities. Another witness also identified Perez as the driver of the red Geo from a photo lineup.
Okay.
After further rounds of witness interviews and forensic DNA testing, the gathered evidence concluded that there was enough ground to arrest Crespin Nene Perez. A warrant was issued for Perez's arrest, but the arrest couldn't be made as he was now living in Mexico.
Bro,
His
he did make it to Mexico and they couldn't arrest him because he was a Mexican citizen and he lived in Mexico. Oh my god.
Extradition to the United States didn't happen until 2020.
Oh, they finally
Prosecutors
extradited him.
theorized that Baker's body was likely left in a shallow grave within a day of its disappearance.
Whoa.
On January 27, 2021, a preliminary reading in the case was held in Denver court, and
Okay.
Perez faces charges for abducting and taking Baker's life.
Got his ass.